Fusion, workstation for the Mac, and Player is workstation for if you don't have any money and want to use it for free. Quite a few less features with Player. So Workstation, and I think Player is actually bundled with Workstation these days. So if you get Workstation, you get Player as well. Player is a free tool. So these are the important items in the suite of products. I want to bring up one more view of this server architectures. We looked at this in the last nugget. This is the ESX servers and the vCenter server and the domain controller. This is this little micro environment that we're creating in order to run through the demos. And I bring this up again for a couple of different reasons. One is just to further crystallize the fact that ESX is right there. That's the hypervisor. That's where your virtual machines live. Right? Your virtual machines live here on this host. And they have local storage here. Each one does. There is also the shared iSCSI storage that we'll be using. And in your mind, I'll talk about this in a little bit of a later nugget, but in your mind, if you think of a computer, let's use an analogy of a person, right? So a computer is a person, and a person has both a brain and a body. And the brain is what processes the fact that, oh, look, the sky is blue today, or, oh, look, the dog has barked, or whatever. And the body is sort of there's more to it, right? And it's what enables the brain to function. Well, I like to use this analogy because when you're operating a virtual machine, there's sort of a brain to the virtual machine and then a body to the virtual machine, and they live in two different places. So the body of the virtual machines tend to live in this shared iSCSI storage location. Right? That's where the disk file is, the virtual disk file. Any RDMs are typically installed there, which there's raw device mapping you'll find out about later. So this body is all of the stuff that makes up the virtual machine. But there's the processing that has to occur too, the brain. And that brain tends to operate up here utilizing the processors of the ESX host. The hypervisor facilitates that. It's the hypervisor that allows the brains to do whatever it needs to do. So when you think of, and we'll learn about this again more when we get into vMotion, when you think about vMotion and how cool and awesome vMotion is able to move VMs really, really fast because, well, it's moving the brains of the virtual machine from this host to this host, but the body stays in one place. It doesn't move. There is a technology called storage vMotion, which can move the body. But as you can imagine, if I've got an exchange virtual machine, well, moving the brains of the virtual machine, which is, its memory state, more or less, that's equal to about as many gigs of RAM as you assign to that virtual machine. Well, moving its body, I don't know, how big are the disks associated with your exchange server? Probably in the multi-hundred gigabyte range. So that visual, again, it's a metaphor, but that visual separation, mental separation between the brains and the body is very important in helping you understand where stuff lives and where it gets processed. Now split this whole image here, right here, because everything from here down is sort of the ESX and storage stuff. And then sitting on top of it, and I'm using a virtual machine, and you probably should too, is this management tool that is not a hypervisor. It's just a set of tools that tells the hypervisors what to do. That's what vCenter is. That's what the vCenter server does. It tells the ESX servers what to do. Hit the green VCR button and turn on that virtual machine. Hit the red VCR button and turn it off. Add an extra gig of RAM to that VM. Create a new one. Those sorts of actions are accomplished from the vCenter server. And all the authentication is accomplished, obviously, via Active Directory through its domain controller. That's what you need to know. That's just the important part there. But this is the architecture that we're going to be working with here. There's one final piece to this, and I'm going to just gloss over this fairly quickly because vCenter effectively creates what we think of as a private cloud. You have, if you've heard me, publicly speaking, if you've met me in person before, you've probably heard me talk about how private cloud, there's a lot of marketing and hype about private cloud, but at the end of the day, private cloud is in a lot of ways just vSphere with HA and DRS turned on. I mean, that's my argument. And some people will argue differently. Then there are other pieces to it, but a private cloud is just virtual resources you own. Right? I can provision resources to somebody because I have them in my